No helicopters have been procured for me to go to golf course. Thank you.
I've never said he wasn't a great politician. I'm just saying he's a officer.
It's supposed to be an interview.
How'd you play out there today?
Well, I found the conditions challenging, mostly because there's no grass on the golf course, but there never has been.
I'm thinking about the swag bag, and I had high hopes for the swag bag.
When you got 3 crevices on the green, your course is trashy.
What's happening, folks? Welcome back. Beltway Golfer, episode 17. Alex Dixon here. For this week's show, headed up 270 to Frederick County, Maryland, and sat down with the owner of Worthington Manor Golf Course, Bob Sturges. He's the first proprietor of a golf course that we've had on the show, so that was super exciting to get kind of that perspective on things, and to get his kind of, just take on what goes into running a golf course and owning a golf course, and learning more about Worthington Manor, because we're big fans. It's a great course, open to the public, but beautiful layout, a Brian Alt designed track that is family run. And they just do a great job up there. But Bob he was the one that purchased the property back in the late 90s and is still running the show, still signing the checks. So very cool operation, and we're big fans of the place. And then the weekend before, I mentioned this kind of at the beginning of the interview, but the weekend before I sat down with Bob, I played around at Worthington Manor with my brother-in-law and a couple other friends. And my brother-in-law, who's only been playing golf for a couple of years, aced the 8th hole with an 8-iron. Put it about 20 feet past the hole, and the pin was all the way up front, and it just trickled right all the way back down into the hole for an ace. So that was pretty cool to see. I still don't have one yet. A little bit of jealousy, but I'm over it, sort of. But it added to some excitement. A few holes later, I got angry at my own shot. Maybe that was related to the hole-in-one, who knows? But ended up hitting my own bag with my sand wedge, and then on the next tee, my driver snapped as a result of me hitting the bag with a sand wedge. So shame on me. Maybe I've learned my lesson, who knows? Moving on. We opened up the Beltway Golfer shop this week. Got a t-shirt, if you're watching again, over my left shoulder. I'm not sure I really got into it last week, but designed by this awesome graphic designer, Slacker Tide. Check him out on Instagram. He makes awesome stuff. But it's an homage to the iconic Awakening statue that sat at the tip of Haynes Point for like 27 years, from 1980 to 2007, before the developer of the National Harbor development in PG County purchased the sculpture, and they moved it down there. I think in 2007 on a flatbed truck. But it's for folks that have lived in this area for a long time. It's just a cool sculpture, and I thought Slacker Tide did a really awesome job of it. So there's still some t-shirts left. BeltwayGolfer.com. Check it out. Last thing, we've got a sponsor for this episode. A longtime friend, good friend of the show, 3-time Olympian Dominique Dawes opened up her own gymnastics academy earlier this year, right about the same time I started this podcast, during a pandemic. And it ties in great with the show because it's 2 exits south of Worthington Manor, right off 270 in Clarksburg, Maryland. You can look up the exact address. Their website is DominiqueDawesGymnasticsAcademy.com. But it's gymnastics and ninja. So boys and girls. They've got ninja classes, gymnastics classes, open gyms. I know they've got camps. I know they do parties. Look up their website again, DominiqueDawesGymnasticsAcademy.com. If you've got kids, if you're not aware of it, go check it out. Dominique's great. Obviously, she's one of the most famous athletes around this area. She actually just got inducted into the Montgomery County Sports Hall of Fame earlier this year as well. I think in the inaugural class, if I'm not mistaken. So she's a sports legend around the DC area. So excited for her that she's got her own gym open. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go do so. That's it. So episode 17, Bob Sturges, Worthington Manor. Here it is. Enjoy. Bob, pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Out here at Worthington Manor in, is this technically Urbana, Maryland?
Yeah, or Frederick. It's
Frederick County.
Yes, correct.
I was just out here. You're the owner of the property.
Yes.
You are the proprietor.
Yes.
Sole proprietor?
It's a family business, yes.
Family business. First off, we're out here, it's like 7:30 in the morning on a Wednesday. Course looks immaculate. Before we get into the course, me and my group played here this past weekend to kind of get a preview for this conversation. And my brother-in-law aced number 8.
Oh, wow.
And he's only been playing golf 2 years. And we've had a conversation. Sounds like we're in the same boat. I've been playing golf the better part of 30. How long you been playing golf?
Over 40 years.
How many hole-in-ones do you have?
0.
Me as well, 0. So as happy as I was for my brother-in-law to get and a good friend to get an ace, we're both still waiting on ours. But Worthington Manor. So I want to kind of get into the whole history of the course and everything like that. But let's start in 2020 for a second. Mm-hmm. This has obviously been a crazy year.
Yes.
I've seen your name in some of the articles and headlines when Maryland golf courses were shut down. How many days was Maryland golf shut down for?
We were closed for 44 days.
44 days.
Yeah.
At the order of the governor.
Correct.
And what was that like?
It was it was frustrating because we knew we could operate and keep people safe. The National Golf Course Owners Association put a whole bulletin out to all course owners of things that were recommended by the CDC in regards to single carts and this and that, and take everything off the course. The flag sticks, we have the little tools on there so people don't have to touch those.
By the way, that was the first time I've seen those. Was the one where you kind of you lift it up with your club and it kind of pops the ball out.
Right.
That's a nice little gadget.
Yeah.
Seems like everyone does something different with the holes.
Correct. Yeah. Some put little styrofoam things in there, but it's just trying to keep people outdoors and safe.
Yeah, but 44 days. So you are the first golf course owner I've interviewed for this show. What does 44 days do to a family-run golf course? 44 days closed.
It had a big impact, especially because we knew during those 44 days that our members, our customers, were getting in the car and driving to Virginia to play,
right.
And Delaware.
Which were both never closed, Virginia and Delaware. Did Delaware close at all?
I think they were back and forth, but I think they've remained open most of the time.
I know Virginia never closed.
Correct.
Right.
And knowing some sources that majority, over 50% of the cars in their parking lot had Maryland tags on them. So they were, that was a little frustrating. And, it wasn't easy, but thankfully we actually took advantage of the PPP program through the SBA. Nice. That helped keep people employed. Now, we actually didn't have anybody really working other than the golf course maintenance staff because we had to continue mowing and prepare, maintaining the golf course.
So did you have to lay some people off during that time until you guys reopened?
Some of the food service we kind of did, but even after we got the loan, the funds from that program, we actually paid some staff members for the previous 3 weeks they had not worked.
But you were fairly vocal, it seemed, as far as trying to get hey, Governor Hogan, listen, we can do this right. We can do this safe. Let's come on. Help us out.
That was the frustrating part, was we just couldn't get a message to him.
Right.
And he just.
During that time, did they ever respond? Did his office ever respond to anything?
No. Other than generic response emails or messages, it was frustrating.
And so I'm on your email list.
Okay.
And you had sent an email. Correct me if I'm wrong here. You guys were getting ready to open. Basically, you didn't have to, but you were getting ready to open with or without the governor's permission. Is that right?
Yeah, but I had.
Or maybe that was a bluff.
No, it actually wasn't a bluff, but before we pulled the trigger and actually sent that email out, I had a source that that announcement was coming, so we were pretty comfortable saying that.
Gotcha. Well, you got some credibility that you're head golfer community. We're prepared to open, but luckily that didn't have to happen. Rough. I imagine you communicate much with other golf course owners in Maryland. Like, do you know how other courses fared?
Yeah, we're a member of the National Golf Course Owners Association in the Maryland Mid-Atlantic Chapter, and I know several other course owners, and there was a group of the local Mid-Atlantic Chapter board members that we all communicated, and so
interesting. I mean, it's certainly been
pretty much on the same page.
I mean, and if you can add any color to this, but it's certainly been an interesting time, because leading up to 2020, before COVID, golf courses, especially in this area, were closing quite a bit. We're losing a lot of public courses. Maybe not so in Frederick County, but in the general area. And then COVID has kind of, because it's one of the safest things you can do, is kind of, we've seen an uptick in rounds.
We reopened on May 6th, and when we made that announcement, I think on the 5th in the afternoon at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I think within an hour or two, our tee sheet was full for that 6th.
How about
it? Was crazy. And we've actually, we were closed May 1st through 5th, the first 5 days, or maybe we opened the 6th or 7th, but the first 6 days we were closed, and May was a record month, record May,
really?
Best May we've ever had. And so far through this year, May, June, July, August, September have all been record months.
How about it?
So
the tee sheets have been pretty booked ever since.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. So let's rewind. So Worthington Manor opened up in 1998?
Correct.
What year did you purchase this property?
We actually purchased the property, it was in the month of March of 97, believe it or not.
Okay.
But I had the property under contract. I think I first saw it was in the fall of 95. Got it under contract in 96. Contingent upon getting approvals for the golf course. So I had it all lined up where we got the golf course only needed site plan approval, which was approved, I believe it was early in 97, and we've settled on the property. It was end of March of 97. In fact, the golf course, the company that built the golf course for us, out of Florida, was moving equipment in on Easter Sunday.
Really?
So they were...
So when you found the property, this was what, a farm?
Correct.
And I read somewhere you were driving by, saw the for sale sign, put a bid on it, and there was an unusual competing bid?
Well, I do know there was, from what I recollect, it was four different parties that were involved in trying to bid on it. The owners of PB.
Oh, really?
The gentleman is not involved with Kemper Sports, but that initiated Whiskey Creek. And this other lady that wanted to buy the property and lease the land to somebody that would want to build a golf course, but she also wanted a petting zoo and other things. And she actually, they gave her they initially accepted her offer.
Really?
And I met with the lady, and I'm like, I know that's not going to work out. So I just sat tight, and it didn't work out. And then we,
That's funny. Could have been the first golf course / petting zoo in the country, I'd imagine.
Yeah. I mean, some goats on the golf course would have been great, but,
sure.
Not petting zoo.
So what is the timeline? So PB was already open? Or not?
No, we opened first. We all kind of were bidding on this property.
To be kind of the first of the upscale courses in this area?
Yes.
How about that?
Yeah.
So in 1997, 1998, before Worthington Manor opened, what did the golf landscape of Frederick County look like?
There was only a couple golf courses. I believe Cluster Spires was in the city of Frederick, was there.
Which is still the only municipally run course in Frederick County? Did I get that
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay.
And there was, trying to think, I think West Winds, and there was some, and maybe one other course. There were just really, a couple here or there, but further west on the, or
but
east
even
of here.
so no Whiskey Creek, no PB no Maryland National, no
Correct.
Musket Ridge.
Correct.
This was the first of that group of kind of upscale public country club for a day,
Exactly,
daily fee courses. That era, late 90s, is that kind of when, certainly in this area, that kind of high-end daily fee course, kind of that model kind of exploded? Was there much of that before 97?
No, I mean, not even in Montgomery County, really. Even south of
Yeah,
here.
certainly Blue Mash wasn't there.
Correct.
It was basically all...
Four Streams, which is a private club, wasn't there.
but it was all private clubs
right.
or municipals.
Correct. Yeah, Montgomery County revenue.
Because I played some high school golf in Montgomery County right before that, kind of in the early 90s. And yeah, we got onto private courses and municipals. I don't really remember kind of many upscale publics. Was that so? What was kind of your? Obviously you built quite a course here. Was your vision all along to kind of invest? Was it always going to be a public course? Let me start there.
Yeah, primarily. We do offer membership, but primarily.
But the model in your head was kind of an upscale public
Correct.
course.
Correct.
Since that wasn't really a big thing back then, was that why? Why?
Just felt it was the right time in the market.
Yeah. I'm glad you made that decision because this even just this exit off 270. Now you got Worthington Manor, you got Whiskey Creek,
Right.
You got PB. It's and then how much further up the road is Maryland National and Musket Ridge? Not too far, right?
Not real far, 15, 20 minutes at least.
15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of become a little destination.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
Do you get many golfers that, aside from driving, from Northern Virginia, do you get, is there a sense that Frederick has become kind of a place to shoot for a weekend from further out?
Yeah, it has. There's a couple local people that offer golf packages that will, schedule your hotel accommodations and things. I think even just in the past few years, there's been a few more hotels pop up that are a little bit nicer versus your Holiday Inn type. So I think that will just continue to grow.
Yeah. So the architecture firm you chose, which is big in this area. Well, back then was it Alt Clark and Associates? Was that the that was the name of the back? So and it was the father-son team of was it Ed and Brian Alt? Did I get that name right?
Well, Ed Alt was Brian's father. That probably did every golf course in the Mid-Atlantic area
like it.
back, 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
But it was his son Brian that got into the business with him.
Okay.
At that time, Ed, I don't remember when Ed passed away, but
Got it. But so he was not. He passed away before.
Correct.
That. Okay. Got it.
Correct.
What was that process like? Just nowadays, choosing. Maybe this is the sense I get, but maybe I'm wrong. Nowadays, there's a lot more options for golf course architects. It seems like a more competitive business. Am I wrong on that?
No, a lot more professionals, should we say, have put their name on things and kind of got into the ring.
So did you put it out for bid? Like, did you have, was he who you had in mind the whole time?
I had primarily had him in mind because I went and played a course up in Pennsylvania that he did that was on the farmland, and I was impressed with that. And Wyncote.
Okay, sure, yeah.
So I was definitely impressed and thought he was. Now, to be perfectly honest, I did talk to Pete Dye.
Sure.
And there was the possible that was possible, you know.
Yeah.
But I just didn't see paying his fee.
As I said, at the time, he was probably a bigger name, right? Much bigger.
Oh
name.
yeah.
So,
But I'm
with
happy
that
with
becomes
what-
higher fees.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I was happy with what Brian came up with here, and
Sure.
the only, you know, from the very, very beginning, his initial layout, the only thing that I changed was his first layout had the second hole a par 3 on the
Okay.
initial
Yeah.
drawings, and I was like, let's make sure that not the second hole is a par 3.
What was your thought process? Because you didn't want people backed up that soon?
Correct.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pace of play.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that was kind of, did you have much more input in the actual layout of the course?
After that, no. I mean, it was
Well, you did a great job.
all Brian.
So the property itself, so I'm looking over your shoulder at the cart barn. So I have to imagine that's a historic building of some sort that was here on the farm before?
Yes, that I believe was built in 1877.
Wow.
Yeah.
And still holding up.
Yes.
Some of the spires look a little tilted, but it's a beautiful building.
Yeah.
Especially
Actually, with next week we've got somebody coming to repair the roof, paint it, and then we'll be putting new cupolas up.
How about
So
that?
we're gonna start
What is that
with that.
term? What are they called?
Cupolas.
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 It's a new term for me, isn't it? And that's what you call all three of the
Yes.
That's right, cupolas. I'll have to look
Yeah.
that up. And then this building where the pro shop, clubhouse, everything. What was this?
This was the manor house. Obviously, the dining room we're in, we built that.
Okay.
But like the golf shop and the foyer off to the side of it is the original part of the house, and that dates back to 1858.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so like down below, is there an upstairs here?
Yes. Yeah. Not above the dining room, but it's pretty much the house is a 3-story.
Offices and such, and then
Yes.
down below is what's down below?
Just a basement, and then off to the west side is a garage.
Well, you guys, so since I've been coming here, you've done a bunch of renovations. This Bar 19 recently renovated, relatively new?
We actually put the bar in. I guess we opened that in May of 18, so just a little over 2 years ago.
I'm trying to
We
remember. I don't even
expanded that.
remember what it looked like.
We had
before.
it was smaller counter, not
Okay,
a real
right.
sit-down bar.
Got it. And then I see some construction going on outside. What's going on there?
Yes, we had a 2-level deck. Obviously that's been removed, and we're going to make it all 1 level. We're going to raise it so it's pretty much you can walk from the dining room out to a 1-level deck, and it'll be a little bit.
That'll be beautiful. So one of the interesting things, you've got a beautiful view. Back to kind of the design of the course a little bit. You know, we're overlooking. Refresh my memory. This is 13?
This is 14.
14. So we're looking over 14 fairway and 14 green, which is a little unusual. You know, a lot of times, you know, maybe the deck or clubhouse overlooks 9 or 18.
Right.
But we're looking over 14. Do you remember? Was there any kind of decision process in that?
No, I mean I believe we discussed whether we could get 18 closer, but it just the layout and everything it would have been.
Yeah.
You know.
I think it works. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really cool.
But that's one of the reasons we put when we did bar 19, put the new bar in, we actually have the closed caption television of 18 green.
I love that.
On the
More
center.
courses need that. The closed caption. That way, when you come in, you know everyone can yell at you that you 4-jacked 18 or something. So over the years, you've also developed a pretty close relationship with the Mid-Atlantic Pga. Am I getting that right? Or, I mean, you guys host a lot of events here, right?
Yeah, not the PGA, but Maryland State Golf Association.
Okay, MSGA.
And then the Mid-Atlantic Golf Association. We've hosted, I forget, at least maybe 9 or 10 U.S. Open local qualifiers. And other qualifiers. And then actually last year we hosted the Maryland Open. And,
Was that the first time you guys did that?
Yes, the first time and third public golf course in the state of Maryland to host it in 98 years.
How about that? Where do they put the tees for something like that? Like for the U.S. Open qualifiers and Maryland Open, do they stick them even further back?
No, they pretty much on the black tees.
That's good. Is that hosting events like that? Is that a disruption at all, or is that it's usually early week, right?
Yeah, it's usually the USGA. I mean, the U.S. Open is just a one-day thing. The Maryland Open was a 4-day, but that it starts Monday, ends Thursday, I think. So it wasn't.
Does that hosting U.S. Open qualifiers? Is that an attraction? Do you think you draw some additional tee times and golfers in because of that?
Yeah, probably.
So I think I've seen a quote of yours in a previous article, maybe read in Golf Styles or somewhere. But that part of the vision in this area, going back to we have 5 or 6 high-end public courses all right here, is trying to compete a little bit with the Ocean City and even Myrtle Beach to some extent. Mm-hmm. We touched on it a little bit already, but do you communicate with those, the owner of Whiskey Creek or PBDI or any of the others to kind of, you guys work together at all? Or?
No, I mean, I know years ago it definitely was closer to and communicated with the owners of PBDI, and then obviously not the owners of Whiskey Creek, but their management, But now it's kind of doing our own thing.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, it's working. So you said that are the Whiskey Creek ownership? So they're not based there. They're run by, are they Kemper?
Kemper Sports.
They are Kemper
correct.
Sports. Got it.
Correct.
So going back to now in 2020, business is going well. How many rounds, ballpark are you doing here a year?
We this year on average anywhere. It depends. I think 2018 we were as low as like 26,000 rounds because of the amount of rain we had.
Yeah.
And we usually not much more than 29,000, somewhere in that range. And we run 10-minute tee. I think we're the only golf course that still run 10-minute tee times. So our goal is not to get as many people out here as possible. We want it to be, it's not an easy golf course, so we gotta work on.
Is that for
kind
kind of an upscale public course? Is the break even kind of rounds number? Do you look at it as like an annual rounds played? Like, is it somewhere around 25,000, 20,000? Is that, or is it less than that? Where like you got to get above to stay in the black.
Yeah, I mean, we.
Or do you look at it in totally different terms?
Primarily different terms, but yeah, I mean, we got to do at least 23,000, 24,000 to stay in the black.
Interesting. I'm curious, what percentage, during, you were closed for 44 days, and, one silver lining I would imagine is that the golf course didn't get any wear and tear, and it came out looking fantastic.
Yeah, it really, it was unusual.
And during that time, the weather was, the heavy rains of 2020 all kind of came after you reopened, right?
Yes, we did have, I mean, I have to go back and look how much rain we got in that period we were closed, but...
I'm just kind of remembering anecdotally.
There was a fair amount of precipitation,
So what's your secret? I mean, this summer, we did get a lot of rain. Or at least it seemed like. Did we not? I don't know.
Not too, I mean, it wasn't much above normal, but we had a lot of warm weather too, and where it was an extended warm weather, where in the evenings I forget, maybe not here, but I know in the Washington area there was a 40-some day period where it never dropped below 70 degrees, and we were similar where the nighttime temperatures affects what happens during the day too.
Sure. And what does that do for the upkeep of the golf course? Because I guess the line of question I'm getting at is a lot of golf courses around here suffered this summer.
Yeah. There was a period where I think it was about almost a week where we determined, hey, we're just going to have to stay cart path only because because of the warm temperatures, it's just putting too much stress on the turf.
Yeah.
And I think it was about a week maybe that we did stay cart path only.
Well, I'm curious, like what percentage, and obviously not exact numbers, but ballpark here, like what percentage of your expenditures goes towards course maintenance versus all the other stuff?
I'd have to go back and look, but it's 60-70% of
A big
our
portion.
Oh yeah.
And while you were closed, did that staff pretty much stay on?
Yes. I mean, we didn't bring back, we didn't have to maintain the golf course where we were raking the bunkers and changing the pins, and we just had to maintain and mow things. So we didn't bring everybody back quite yet. So, there's a certain amount of part-times that we bring back in the month of March typically.
Sure.
That we kind of held off, and then.
So one of the things, Worthington Manor shows up from time to time, or I think pretty consistently, on a lot of the kind of the best in state lists. To a golf course owner, how much does that matter?
I think it matters quite a bit. I mean, because obviously the customers are the ones that it matters the most to.
Yeah.
So
there's still a lot of folks look at those lists to try to figure out where they're going to play.
Yeah.
Do you know when the raters are out here, like whether it be Golf Digest or Golf Week or Golf whomever?
Yeah, they usually let you know, but it's this year I don't think we've had anybody out. Yeah. We certainly encourage them to come out.
Sure. Interesting. Do you think that's do you think those lists are positive, negative? They are what they are.
I would say, I guess they are what they are. I don't know how accurate they are, should we say?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and a lot of them fluctuate quite a bit. Yeah, I'm always curious. Sometimes, without naming other courses, there's one course in the state of Maryland that had a year or two where it had a really rough stretch with Upkeep.
I know.
And it didn't seem to really fall on a lot of those lists.
Yeah.
And you're kind of scratching your head a little bit, like how often do they update these things?
I think I know what course you're talking about.
Right.
We won't go there.
Right. And I'm sure most of the folks that are listening to this probably know. In this area, the greater Washington, D.C., Mid-Atlantic, Baltimore area, public courses are closing quite a bit. Obviously, we're having an uptick in rounds after things have reopened in 2020. But, long term, as suburban sprawl continues to, get wider and wider and property values keep going up and up, I guess what I'm getting at, are you where are we at in Frederick far enough out where that you don't see that affecting this area much anytime soon? Has anybody ever come in and try to make you an offer to turn this into housing, anything like that?
No offers. No.
Do you see that ever? Are we far enough out that that's not really a concern?
I don't know. I think we're not that far from DC.
Sure.
So I think it's always possible.
Yeah.
But
I'm just always concerned. I'm a huge fan of Worthington Manor. I love Worthington Manor, as all the courses kind of up in this area, and as we living close inside the Beltway, and losing so many public courses, I just want to make sure the ones that we love are still around long term.
We don't have any plans of going anywhere. So especially with the uptick in the not the economy, but in the golf business, I think that hopefully will be all indications, and people that I've talked to think that it, will it remain at the height that it is right now? Maybe not. But it, you know, I think it may
Sure.
last for a few years because many more people have gotten back into playing.
Seems like it. I mean, it seems like this kind of period, this summer, that again, since golf is one of the safest things that you can do, and so many other things and activities, certainly indoor activities, are closed.
Yeah.
It's getting people that either used to play golf and quit back into the game, or certainly bringing in new golfers,
Right.
seemingly.
Yeah.
So, 1997 it was built, so we're 23 years in. Way too soon, I would imagine, or tell me if I'm wrong, to start thinking about updates or renovations of the course itself, or am I wrong?
The only thing right now that we would consider is continuously, rebuild bunkers. But otherwise, not
Meaning like just get more support like underneath them, that sort of thing?
better drainage, and they're steep face bunkers. If we get heavy thunderstorms, it washes the sand off the slopes.
Interesting. How often do you get to get out and play your own course?
Well, that's funny. I have not actually played even once this year, but that is due to a knee injury.
Wow.
So I'm
A golf-related knee injury?
No. I was actually on a ladder and got knocked off and tore the meniscus in both sides. But that actually happened in February. But then March came and the pandemic, and it was like, surgery was not an option.
Right.
So I ended up getting a cortisone shot, which was great.
Yeah.
So
man.
I've
Sorry to hear that.
prolonged that and still hopefully.
So you're still at it. You're still on the on the DL.
Yeah.
Oh man. But you are an avid golfer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that, had your family been involved in the golf business at all before you made this purchase back in '97?
Yes. My father, a Washingtonian, we owned a farm up in Pennsylvania and built a small golf course up there, 9 holes, and I think we opened in 1978.
Is that still around?
Yeah. Mountain View Golf Club up in Fairfield, Pennsylvania.
Mountain View Golf Club in Fairfield, Pennsylvania. I have to look that up. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's it's not a high end. It's
Sure.
but it's a nice course in Fairfield, Pennsylvania, not too far from here, 30 minutes, and it's 18 holes.
Yeah. You've been as the this is your baby. This is your place. Do you have any particular holes that you're fond of?
Obviously the 6th hole, which is our signature hole.
The par 3 over the water.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
That's a gorgeous one. I took way too many pictures. I didn't focus on my shot the other day because I was too busy taking pictures. The light was coming off the water just perfect. Almost sunk it in the water, but I kept it on that left fringe. But that's
Been in the water many times.
I'm sure. It's a beautiful hole. This is the Sugarloaf. This is the Catoctin Mountains that we're surrounded by here.
Yeah, and that's you see Sugarloaf.
Interesting. Do you think that this area, it's certainly in Frederick County, as it's become kind of a little bit of a destination for golf, is there room for more, or you think it's good where it's at, or
I think it's good where it's at.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see any more golf courses.
There's another course nearby that I'm actually not familiar with that opened up around the same time that you opened. Was it originally Hollow Creek? Am I getting that right?
Originally Hollow Creek, and it's they changed the name. They opened, I think, if I remember, it was 3 or 4 years after
Oh, they did. Okay.
we did.
Interesting. But that was one, and correct me if I'm wrong, that kind of opened up with the intentions of being kind of pretty upscale, and maybe over the years, it's
Yeah,
it hasn't really kept up quite the same as some of the others.
Correct. I would agree. And I think it's a development property too, where there's a lot of homes around it.
So you said your dad's a native Washingtonian.
Yes.
What about yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What part of town did you grow up?
I grew up in Montgomery County.
Grew up in Montgomery County. So where did you grow up playing golf?
Well, we've always been, my parents, even when I was younger, had a home up in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So we did a lot of, played golf up there quite a bit.
Nice.
But I played all the municipal golf courses in the Washington area.
What did, like Montgomery County? So I grew up, I was born in the late 70s. And so I really started playing golf quite a bit, I guess like in middle school. And I think back then in Montgomery County, now they have 9 public courses. But
Right.
I think back then maybe they only had 5 or 6 or something. I can't
Yeah.
remember exactly, but
I don't remember either, but I mean, some of those golf courses, they must have been privately owned.
Yeah.
And
one of the things one of the last points I kind of want to ask you about, Frederick County, there's a lot of, as we've touched on, a lot of upscale public courses. I think there's only one country club in the whole county, private course. Is that?
Holly Hills.
Unless there's another one, that's the only one I know of.
No, I think you're right.
And only one municipal run course, as we touched on earlier,
Correct.
Clustered Spires. But then you go one county south into Montgomery County.
Oh yeah.
And the county runs 9.
Right.
There's tons of private courses, and I think, unless I'm getting my numbers off, I think Blue Match is the only privately owned public course.
Correct.
Which it's what is do you have any kind of view on that as far as just like kind of competing against government-run golf courses?
In some aspects, some people say it's not fair, but it's good for the industry. That they certainly try to keep their prices down. They don't have property taxes per se, and
Sure.
and other taxes probably to pay. But
Does that make it an unfair fight though? For
in some respects, I agree with that.
yeah, but good for the industry. Just that there's money getting pumped into the game, and there's more options. And
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Frederick County, they don't have. Do you communicate with them much, like with the Chamber of Commerce or anything like that, or?
I mean, we're a member of the Chamber of Commerce,
Yeah.
but
But the county doesn't have any. No signs of either getting out of the golf business or expanding into the golf business, are there? Beyond Cluster Spire?
I can't imagine.
No.
Because there's always kind of being a government dispute of, running and operating a golf course.
Sure. What else? I mean, what's the 5, 10, 15 years from now at Worthington Manor? You guys, you're building out you're redoing the deck, maybe some upkeep around the bunkers. Any other kind of longer term plans or things that like to do's in the future?
Regarding the deck, eventually we want to try to figure a way of putting a cover over it so that it can be utilized even if it's raining out. We've even had some thoughts about putting some, cottages or something, but I don't know if we'll ever pursue that.
Yeah. Like I know they do that at like at Queenstown Harbor, where you can
Correct, yeah.
rent a place for a few days,
Yeah.
or for the night. What about some of the other kind of the newish ways to get around a golf course, especially since COVID's happened, and maybe some golfers, the idea of sitting so close to somebody else maybe is a little bit less appealing, and it seems like walking is up a bit. But then you
Yes.
also have these new, like I did one of the scooters at a golf course in Virginia not too long ago, or the golf boards.
Yeah.
Have you guys looked at any of those?
I mean, we have, but not in any detail. A little concern of some of the slopes that we have here could be difficult.
Do you get many walkers here?
Not a whole lot, but yes, walking this year definitely is up. We even purchased some plastic dividers to put in the carts, and we have those as an option. But to be honest, I think people are comfortable. Sometimes they'll just take one cart, but one will walk, have their bag on the cart.
Right.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Well, I'll tell you what, this has been great. I really appreciate you coming on and joining me. I think you got a great piece of property
Thank
here.
you. Appreciate it.
Glad you made that purchase in '97. Recommend anybody to come up here and play Worthington Manor if you haven't. It's a great course. And again, all on the same exit. You got a few fantastic courses.
Yeah.
So wish you nothing but the best of luck going forward, and
Thank you.
And we'll be back to play.
Appreciate it.
I got to get Johnny Wags' ideas. I don't have a good golf game, but I don't really care. I'm a regular dude living in DC, and I want to know about DC-centric golf stuff. If you can tell me something that I don't already know, then that is great for me. I don't want the regular stuff. I want exciting stuff. I want different stuff. I want stuff I can't hear elsewhere. But I want it to be about DC golf.